Hi, my name is Lucy. Welcome to my media analysis. For the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about a really significant issue that recently has been broadcast in the media globally. So as soon as I came across this first article published by Amnesty International, I knew it was something that I wanted to delve deeper into. So this first article was published online on the 29th of September. And as soon as I clicked on the article, a large photo of a woman's smiling face popped up across the entire screen. And we later come to find out this woman is Amal Fathi. The headline of the article reads, Egypt, woman human rights defender and sexual harassment survivor sentenced for speaking out. So it's a really strong headline, clearly sets out the way that they want to frame this story. It's full of really strong and emotive language which describes this situation as an outrageous case of injustice and a disgraceful sentence simply for her courage to speak out. So the main feature of this article that I wanted to kind of draw your attention to is a large bolded text with a quote from Amnesty International North Africa campaigns director, who said, Amal Fathi told her truth to the world and highlighted the vital issue of women's safety in Egypt. She is not a criminal. The article clearly brings the story back to the key international law issues. As an Egyptian woman and a mother who posted a video on social media talking about her own experiences, but really as the actions of a human rights defender. And I think that's what it always comes back to with Amnesty. Another unique feature of this article is the way that Amnesty characterises their articles and links them to the wider world. So at the bottom of the article, it has a grid of graphics. It directly places Amal's story within the broader context of this mosaic of women around the world who are all fighting this battle. So the next article that I found was published online by ABC News on the 1st of October, so just a couple days later, with the headline that reads, Egyptian woman jailed after posting video complaining about sexual harassment. So this is a completely different headline, and as soon as I open up the article, it presents a very different layout as you scroll through, showing an audio recording for 6 minutes. There's also an English interpretation of the original audio from Amal's video that she posted.
Middle East correspondent Eric Torchik reports.
Amal Fathi's trip to the bank in May led her to voice her disgust in a Facebook video at the behaviour of Egyptian men.
Even the police officer who was guarding the bank, he was standing and touching himself. Where on earth will you see a police officer harassing women, harassing me? To hell with these corrupt police.
The article also includes an image of a tweet posted by Amnesty North Africa with an illustration of a weeping woman with the words no harassment taped across her mouth, and it includes the hashtags Egypt and hashtag free Amal Fathi, which is really significant because it uses the social media platform to engage with the wider international community, and it also very significant in contextualizing this story within the broader context of online awareness and advocacy, and just how strongly social media has become a tool in the 21st century. So the next article was published online on the 30th of September by Al Jazeera with the headline, Egyptian activist jailed for posting sexual harassment video. So in the first sentence, she's described as a female human rights activist, and they immediately get to the heart of what she was trying to say. That she was criticising the government for failing to protect women. In the middle of the article, the husband is quoted saying basically that by doing this, the government is saying to all Egyptian women to shut your mouths if you don't want to go to prison. So that's his quote. What I think really sets this article apart from the others is how it's linked to the international community under the heading Unsafe for Women. It talks about that the problem in Egypt has gained worldwide attention since the 2011 uprising, where Egyptian women were being harassed, groped, even beaten and sexually assaulted during these mass protests, and the world was just shocked. The UN Women and Promondo 2017 report showed that 60% of women in Egypt have experienced some form of sexual harassment during their lives. This article also refers to 17 UN human rights experts who have all been critiquing Egypt and the use of repressive legislation. It mentions a study by the Thomas Reuters Foundation that actually ranked Cairo as the most dangerous megacity in the world for women. So I think the impact of this is really important because it draws it back to a global problem, not just an Egyptian problem, and it engages other sources and other studies to support its statements. So I think the key takeaway point from this article is also reiterated through the only picture included in the entire article, and it's not a photo of Amal's face. It's actually the issue of sexual harassment for all women in Egypt is the focus of this story, and they really want to make it clear that this is not just an isolated case about Amal personally.
This image is a part of an anti-sexual harassment campaign that says Save Cities and can be seen all across Cairo.
So from there, I think there's definitely something to be said for all of these different articles and the way in which they've told this story. In the ABC News article, there was just so much, to take in, the audio and the video and the photos and the tweet, and there's so much to consider. But in the same breath, I think Amnesty has its own significance by just including the photo of Amal. Separately again, Al Jazeera, it's engaging and it's powerful in an entirely different sense in the way that they chose just to use that image of the anti-sexual harassment campaign. These 3 articles are all posted within 3 days of each other, from different countries and from different, networks, but they all present some insight. And Amal Fathi's story has been framed in different lights. She's been described as an Egyptian wife and a mother, and as a human rights defender, and as an activist and a survivor of sexual harassment. And she's been presented in all different manners and across these articles. All different mediums have been utilised in order to help tell her story, whether it's a photo of just her face or whether it's a photo of an anti-sexual harassment graffiti campaign on the side of a road. These images have been chosen and they are really what leaves a lasting impression. Throughout all of these articles, there has been a discussion of the international law issues at play here, and how Egypt has received criticism from the UN for their harsh crackdown on dissent in the country. The broader context of what's going on in Egypt and around the world of sexual rights and other women in Greece standing up for themselves, and it's really globalized the whole issue. It's not just Amal. And then in a completely different sense, the Al Jazeera article has gone one step further and actually provided us with global insights from resources that say, look, this is about all women's safety in Egypt. That throughout all of these articles, international law is at the heart of what's going on here, and the international community has definitely got a centre role in this. So in summing up, I've also been reflecting on just how significant this assignment is, because what I'm doing right now is recording myself speaking freely about women's safety and freedom of speech and advocacy and what's going on in the rest of the world. And just because Amal Fathi lives in Egypt, she's currently sitting in a prison cell, and she may be there for the next 2 years. Really, my eyes have been so opened by this exercise. Thanks for listening.